All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call Halal Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us his truth well. And much peace, love, and salutation to the elect Akim that scattered across the four corners of the earth, pushing this word with all truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Tazamah from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, and I'm just coming back with another lesson to edify the lambs of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai. And the title of this article, I don't have a title of this lesson as of yet, but I wanted to do a lesson based off of this article that I seen from ZeroHedge.com. And the title reads, Turkey joins Russia's ruble-based alternative to SWIFT. All right, and this is just another move on how these NATO allies, which are in league with America, which America is the whore that rideth upon the beast. All right, and that beast is the NATO and the EU system. All right, you have allies of America, which are now taking security, roughly paraphrasing, within Gog and Magog. All right, it's written in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Matter of fact, let's get it for edification's sake. It's written that that there will be a guard unto these different nations. All right. Let's see. This is Ezekiel 38:7. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. You see, and in Russia, because when you go up in this chapter, it's speaking of Gog and Magog. All right, and we know Gog and Magog to be Russia today. It says that there will be a guard unto them. Unto who? Unto these different smaller nations. That word guard in the Hebrew is mashamar, all right, which means place of confinement, all right, prison, guard, jail, guard post, watch, observance. You see? And what's Russia been doing lately? Russia has been getting these different nations to go on to their SWIFT banking or their own banking system. All right, we have the SWIFT banking system, which links over 10,000 different banks together, whereas they can send large settlements of money. And now, and who pretty much runs that SWIFT banking system? All right, America. That's why whenever they do these sanctions in Venezuela and Iran, they cut them out from the markets, and they pretty much cut them and block them out of the SWIFT banking system, so that they can't receive any money. But now you have Russia, which is in league with Turkey, in league with Iran, Syria, China, India. All right, these different nations that are like pretty much like, man, hell yeah, we're gonna trade through the banking system that Russia got I'll say through the money transfer system. I rather say that Russia has set up, because Russia is fulfilling a prophecy that Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai has already set forth for them to fulfill. All right. So we're going to read this article, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. All right. So it says here, it says, after repeated warnings over the past couple of years, Turkey and Russia have signed a pact to increase use of the ruble and lira in cross-border payments, with Turkey signing onto Russia's alternative to SWIFT, the international telecommunications protocol used by banks and central banks over the world. I think it's supposed to say. That spiritual says the world over. Yeah, this is the end of Esau's world and the rise of Jacob, which is soon to follow, right? But you have Turkey and Russia making an agreement to use the alternative to SWIFT. Now, if you look up SWIFT, all right, let's see here. Let's do it like this. We'll go here and we'll do a new tab. We'll do SWIFT banking system. Whoops. SWIFT banking. And we'll just get the Wikipedia definition, the beginning of it. All right. It's the Society of Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, which is SWIFT is a acronym for that. Legally, SWIFT or CRL provides a network that enables financial institutions worldwide to send and receive information about financial transactions in a secure, standardized, and reliable environment. All right. SWIFT also sells software and services to financial institutions, much of it for use on the SwiftNet network and ISO 9362. All right. So pretty much what it is it provides, financial institutions to send and receive financial transactions. All right. When you have money being sent from Saudi Arabia to America, they use the SWIFT banking system to make these transactions happen. You see, but now Russia, all right, is creating an alternative to the SWIFT banking system. You see, so it says through SWIFT is an international cooperative owned by its members, with more than 10,000 banks worldwide relying on its system for handling sizable interbank transactions. The safety of the network was brought into question after a series of cyber attacks in 2015 and 2016 resulted in the theft of $101 million from the Central Bank of Bangladesh. For the first time since SWIFT's launch, the hacks stoked doubts about the system's safety and prompted many U.S. rivals, right? Who are some U.S. rivals that you hear about? Iran, China, Russia, all right, North Korea. These are rivals that you hear of. The main top rivals, I'd rather say. It says, and prompted many U.S. rivals, including Russia, to ramp up work on their alternatives to SWIFT. You see? And the Most High put the spirit upon Russia to be the ones that really start ramping this up. You see? And this is President Erdogan and President Vladimir Putin. Erdogan is the president of Turkey, and Vladimir Putin on the right is the president of Russia, for those that may not have known, all right? It says, in addition to Turkey, China and Russia have signed agreements to bolster trade between the two countries, including settling a larger percentage of their bilateral trade in rubles and renminbi, all right? For China, bilateral trade with Russia grew from $69.6 billion in 2016 to $107.1 billion last year. You see? That's pretty much a $40 billion increase, man. That's a lot of money. You see? And this is all through bilateral trade agreements that have been made with China and Russia. All right. China is Russia's biggest partner for imports and exports. You see? People would think that America is the biggest partner, but really Russia is China's biggest partner when it comes to importing goods and exporting goods and services, man. All right. There has also been, and you already know what's going on in the news about China in the U.S. with these different trade deals that they can't come to agreements in. You see, and the Most High has to stir it up that way for a particular reason, because all hell's getting ready to break loose over there in the Middle East, man. World War III. All right. There has also been talks about India joining Russia's SWIFT alternative as Washington continues. As Washington continues to threaten New Delhi with sanctions over its decision to purchase Russian-made missile defense systems. There it is again. You got Russia selling India defense systems, which Washington got mad at that. So they was like, you know what, we about to put sanctions on you. So India like, all right, bet. If you do this, we just gonna trade through the alternative banking system that Russia got set up. You see? It says, according to Reuters, Russian Finance Minister Anton Sulanov signed the agreement with Ankara on Tuesday. The agreement, signed on October 4th, will encourage the two countries to start using Russia's system in mutual settlements, man. All right. And for those that don't know, Turkey right now is a NATO ally that's looking to bypass the SWIFT money system to use Russia's system, man. You see? And you have in the news right now, you know, you have tensions rising up between Turkey and the United States, because you got Turkey on the offensive against the SDF, which is the Syrian Democratic Forces, or the Kurdish freedom fighters, if you will, as they call them. All right, which, you know, Turkey is pretty much leveling them out on the border between Syria and Turkey in the northeast border. All right, because Donald Trump withdrew the United States military from their bases in the border. And you got the Republicans mad at Trump, like, man, look, you got Turkey is getting ready to start leveling our so-called allies. You see, so that's causing more division within the house of Esau right there in itself, man. And man, hey, say all hell's getting ready to break loose, man. And this is the Most High stirring the pot, man. This is the wars. This is part of the wars and the rumors of wars. These are things that can cause a Cold War to turn hot, man. You see? It says the agreement envisions Turkish banks and companies becoming connected to the Russian version of the SWIFT payment system while enhancing the infrastructure in Turkey to allow Russian MIR cards designed by Moscow as alternative to MasterCard and Visa to work. You see, so now they're going to bypass MasterCard and Visa, which is what? American made, man. Though President Trump on Tuesday reiterated his love and respect for Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, it's worth remembering President Putin's warnings about the potential ramifications of American sanctions. Here's the point, which risk undermining the dollar's dominance of the global financial system by driving more countries to use alternatives to SWIFT. And what's that going to cause, man? That's going to cause a collapse in the American dollar, man. If you got nations that aren't using the American dollar, all right, that's straying away from the dollar and that's using different systems of buying what's the number one chief commodity, oil, and they bypass the dollar, which the dollar is the reserve currency. The dollar is still significantly stronger than the rest of these currencies. But if these different nations if they come into agreements like, man, look, we're not going to use the dollar to buy oil no more. We're going to use, let's say you can use the gold backed yuan, all right, the gold backed ruble or whatever the case may be, which really it's all ultimately going to turn back to the mark of the beast, which is going to be a whole global reset. All right. But if you have these nations that stop using the dollar, what's that going to do? All right. If you have nations that aren't using the dollar, what's that going to bring? It's going to bring more dollars back into the country, which is going to cause what? It's going to cause inflation. And when you have inflation, that's when the price of goods, that's when the dollar or the value of the dollar goes down. All right. And the price of goods get higher. That's when a loaf of bread begins to cost $500. All right. A gallon of milk costs $300. That's a form of hyperinflation. You see? And eventually the dollar is going to be worthless. You're going to be seeing dollars in these streets just sitting there, man. Because the collapse of the American economy is prophesied in the scriptures, man. All right. It says, for example, President Trump's sanctions against Iran prompted Washington's European Union allies, part of the beast system, to try and launch their own SWIFT alternative to make payments to Iran. Let's read that again. Man. That's heavy, man. For example, all right, highlight it again. It says, for example, President Trump's sanctions against Iran prompted Washington's European Union allies to try and launch their own SWIFT alternative to make payments to Iran. All right, because hurting and putting these sanctions on Iran was messing up the European Union's money and their deals that they had with Iran in the Iranian nuclear deal, man. You see? But you had Donald Trump that came through and pretty much severed America out of the deal, which messed up Iran, man, and put more sanctions on them, whereas they can't trade. And what's Iran a big producer of? Iran is a big producer of natural gas, man. You see? So you got the European Union like, man, look, man, forget it, man. We finna do our own thing. You see? That's why the scriptures talk about what? Let's get the precept. Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, those 10 horns are those EU nations. And upon the beast is NATO and the EU in one. All right. This beast system, right? These shall hate the whore. That whore is America. Let's get that word hate. Let's get that word hate real quick. That word hate in the Greek is miseo. It says to hate, pursue with hatred, to detest. And these different nations is fed up with America, man. You just had the brother Sha'ar that did a lesson entitled how pretty much going into the news article that came out about how the UN is requesting America to pay up on the money that they borrow, man. And it's in the billions, man. You know? And how can America pay up on that money when if they create money, it just puts them in more debt? You see? So these different nations are going to hate the whore, hate America. They're going to detest or pursue with hatred this place, right? And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. You see? And how are these different nations going to burn the whore with fire, man? They're going to burn the whore with fire by way of thermonuclear war, man. All right, you're going to have all of America's allies turn against this place and shoot their missiles over here, man. That's when great fear and great dread is going to really come upon these people when they know that there's nothing that they can do. And the only way that you can make it is by way of the chariots, man. Is Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua delivering you out of this place. All right. It says Putin warned American sanctions against Russia are a colossal strategic mistake and eventually risk undermining the dollar-based hegemony of the global financial system. You see? So these American sanctions, man, it's like you said, it's a colossal strategic mistake because you're going to have more nations that are going to stray away from doing business with America, using their systems of doing business and going towards Russia, them Russia being the guard into these different nations. And what's that going to cause, man? It's going to cause a destruction of the American dollar, man. And what this is that it's really these weak nations saying that they're strong in these last days, man. These weak nations pretty much not fearing the consequences of what can happen, right? This is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. And these Gentiles is talking about the different heathen nations. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up, and come up to where? Come up to the Middle East, to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Yahweh Shaphat, the Lord's judgment. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Here's the point. Let the weak say, I am strong. And you got these weak nations saying, man, look, you know what, man, forget doing business with America, man. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to purchase defense systems through Russia. You see, we're going to undermine the whole financial system that the dollar got going on, man. We're going to do it this way. These are these weak nations saying that they are strong. You see? And this is going to do nothing more but cause a complete and all-out war, man. You think America just going to go down and just lay down with these different nations are using the different financial systems. Hey, man, you know what? Hey, we don't got it, man. We're done. We give the reins. No, they going to go. Man, these Edomites going to go out fighting, man. All right, this is Obadiah 1 and verse 6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? You see, and how Esau has ruled the world through his bloodshed, all right, through his lies. Another thing that he has ruled the world in is through debt. You see, with the dollar not being backed by anything, that brings a great and massive debt to these different other nations, man, and to themselves. You see, when you got a debt credit-based system of money that doesn't even exist, that just builds more and more and more debt. You see, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. And who are the men of Esau's confederacy? His different allies, man. I'm sorry, not Russia, excuse me. England, Ireland, Luxembourg, Germany, Turkey, Finland, these different NATO and EU nations, France. All right. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. You see, because here it is, you're selling these different nations military equipment, defense systems. You see, and what's going to happen, man? They're really going to deceive you by the things that you've given unto them. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. And what's the bread talking about? It could be military equipment. It could be money. All right, something that can sustain you. Right? They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, man. A wound is a trap. There is none understanding in him. You see? There's no understanding in Esau Edom at the end of the day, man, for the things that he does. Because ultimately what's going to happen, man, he's going to put his foot in his own mouth, all right, and do something stupid that's going to cause his destruction, which is ultimately prophesied by Yahweh Shem Yahushai. All right, this place America has nothing left. It has nothing left for it to fight for, man. The only thing that it has left to fight for is to fight for its own self and its own people. All right, which is it's gonna come down to a great bloodshed, man. Zephaniah 1:11. How, ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down. All right, and Maktesh was an ancient city, which means mortar bowl, because that's how it was. It was pretty much like a huge valley with a lot of high ridges, and you had a lot of the different nations of people or merchants of these different nations that would be down there trading. So you can liken Maktesh unto the stock market today. It says, how ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down. All they that bear silver are cut off. You see? So when the stock market crashes, man, it's not going to be anything to be out there betting for, man. When the dollar collapses on a huge global scale, all right, these people are going to howl, man. Because what's that going to bring? It's going to bring that's going to bring civil unrest. It's going to bring anarchy, if you will. Okay? And these are the things that's coming to Babylon the Great, man, which is all really judgment from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai for the wickedness that is done on the planet Earth, man, that you devils, that you so-called white people have done. Jeremiah 51:25, behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith Yahweh, which destroyeth all the earth. And who is that destroying mountain? That destroying mountain is talking about Babylon the Great, chiefly, which is ran by you Edomites, man. Because you do destroy the whole earth, man. You have the whole earth in captivity, man. You destroy the animals, you destroy lands, you destroy everything. And ultimately, you're going to destroy yourself through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, man. And I will stretch out my hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks and make thee a burnt mountain. All right. And this is why we say Babylon the Great, which is also known as America, is going to be destroyed. That's that burnt mountain, man. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations. But thou shalt be desolate forever, saith Yahweh. There's not going to be no rebuilding up of America. You know, when you have a stone for the corner, which is a cornerstone, that's a foundational stone that every other brick is built upon, man. Pretty much what this is saying is that there's not going to be nowhere that you can lay your foundation here when the Most High is done destroying this place, man. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat. Now, you ask yourself, who was the kingdom of Ararat? Arawat, the curse reversed. All right, precipitation of the curse. It says, of a mountainous region of eastern Armenia, between the rivers Araxes and the lakes Van and Oromia, the site where Noah's Ark came to rest. Now, when you look up Armenia, what is Armenia? All right, Armenia, officially the Republic of Armenia, is a country in the South Caucasus region of Eurasia, located in Western Asia on the Armenian Heights. It is bordered by Turkey to the west. You see? Even when you look up the word Ararat, what are you going to get? Let's look it up. Mount Ararat. Let's see. Mount Ararat is a snow-capped and dormant compound volcano in the extreme east of Turkey. It's Turkey, man. Location in Turkey. So what is this? What is the scripture saying? Called together against the kingdoms of Ararat, which is Turkey, and you see in Turkey, you see Turkey coming up against Babylon the Great more and more in the news. All right, many. Let's look up many. All right, Manya, division, a region in Armenia. All right, which is still where you can liken it unto Turkey. Okay. And Ashkenaz, which you know Ashkenaz to be the Germany, right? It says appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. And that's talking about their different military vehicles, man. The tanks, all right, the Humvees, prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, which is Russia, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. You see? And you seeing this getting ready to take place now, man. You seeing this happen now. You seeing it build up now. And the land shall tremble in sorrow. For every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. And what's the Lord going to do, man? The purpose of the Lord against Babylon is to what? Destroy it off the face of the earth, man. Via thermonuclear war and the chariots, man. That's why the scripture says we would have healed Babylon, but they're not going. Babylon ain't going to be healed, man. It's going to be destroyed. All right, this is Ecclesiastes 12. I'm going to read through verse 1 and 2, and the point is in verse 3. Remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. All right, this is why the Lord calls men into this truth while they're young, right? While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars not be darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, right? And the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. What is the grinders talking about? The job ceasing because of the financial system crashing, man. It says, and those that look out the windows be darkened. You see, the grinders is going to cease because what? The dollar is going to crash, man. Okay? That's when the grinding is going to cease. When there's no jobs. When there's no jobs, there's no money. When there's no money, there's no getting food unless you strong arming it, which that's what's going to come back. Spoils of war is going to take place, right? 2 Ezra 16 and 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. You see? So people going to think themselves to be in a good case when things get more cheaper. Or the economy's booming. The economy's the best it's ever been. The stock market's the highest it's ever been. It's the highest it's ever been to have the greatest fall, man. And these people think they're in a good case, man. All right. Verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. And that's going to make, as it is written, man, as it is written here in verse 22, majority of the people are going to die, but by way of not being able to eat, starvation, man. Because when there's no dollars, there's no oil. When there's no oil, there's no transportation. When there's no transportation, there's no trucks. When there's no trucks, there's no food to be moved. Point blank, period. That can cause a famine when there's no trucks being moved. And the Lord can physically cause a famine, which he has done throughout the years systematically, man. Throughout this time, you got the whole Mid-East region that got flooded, man. Whereas crops wasn't planted. And the other that escaped the hunger shall the sword destroy, you see? Because it's gonna be martial law in the streets. It's gonna be race wars, race riots. All right, battles of who's getting whose food. You know, people getting strong armed for the things that they got, man. Those that don't die from the hunger, the sword is going to destroy them, man. 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 20, and then the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished. Then shall I show these tokens. Then shall I show these signs, right? What are the signs the Lord is going to show? The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see altogether. And that's going into how the Lord is bringing forth this truth on a mass scale via the internet. All right, the apostles, starting with the apostles and others on down, going on YouTube, prophesying the truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, the internet being used to be a platform for the truth to be mashed push is a sign that the Lord is giving in these last days before this place vanishes away, man. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The woman with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And this is how you have these babies being born, all right, with knowledge and technology being increased. You know, they could be born 6, 7 months and still live, man. Being in the incubators, man, you know. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. What's that? That's famine, man. All right. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. All right. When you go into a grocery store, man, they only got a shelf life, I want to say, of 3 days, man. Food has a shelf life of 3 days before the trucks got to come through and restock that mug, man. So just imagine after a week, after 3 weeks, after a month, you know, after months. All right. And what's going to happen, man? This is going to happen due to the economy crashing. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which wherein every man heareth, and they shall be suddenly afraid, man. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear from with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. You see, and there ain't gonna be no water either, man. So it's gonna be a physical famine of food and water, and the most important one is gonna be a physical famine of food and water, which is talking about this truth. You see, but when you can't get food and when you can't get water, that's when desperate times calls for desperate measures, man. And the Most High is gonna bring His fear and His dread upon this place, man. This is why we need to stay locked in the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to the best of our abilities and repent, man, while we still got a chance. All right. You know, but Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. All right. I just want to do a quick lesson in regarding to this lesson, to this article I read today. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rechakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, taught us His truth, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Shalom.